education for tomorrow's hotelier. And myself, Ernest Emmanuel, live streaming and reporting from IHM Career Studio, Hyderabad. Today we have a guest with us, a most dedicated and dynamic leader in hospitality industry, and very popular and dignified leading personality in the city, and one of our most close associate with IIHM. And of course, our dearmost friend, Mr. Manish Dayya, the General Manager, the NOVOTEL HICC Hyderabad. Mr. Manish brings with him extensive and immense experience in hospitality industry, more than 2 decades. Completed hotel management in IHM Goa in 1997, and then his journey started. He has held multiple roles across various locations in India. Being a proficient hospitality professional, he has expertise and valuable insights, amplifying brand stands for the company. Mr. Manish, working with leading domestic and international brands, holding key positions, which further sharpened his expert business development approach. He worked as a general manager in Hotel Raintree Chennai, and also he worked as a general manager in Royal Orchids Hotel Hyderabad. Then he is joined in Accor Hotels in the year 2013 as a general manager of Novotel Goa Resort and Spa. And he moved as an area general manager for Novotel Lavasa and Mercure Lavasa and Lavasa International Convention Center. And also he worked as a general manager in Novotel Mumbai Jugu Beach. As you all know, presently he is working as a general manager in Novotel Hyderabad HICC since 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, I take this privilege and honor to invite and welcome Manish Dayya for this IHM Hospitality Talk Show. Mr. Manish, it is my immense pleasure to welcome you today to our career studio for talking and interacting with our students. Thank you so much for joining with us today in this lovely morning. Before we start, few words, Mr. Manish, over to you.
Thank you very much, Anas. First of all, namaste and good morning to everyone. And thank you so much, Ernest, for such a warm welcome. Thank you very, very much. Feels really honored to be on this platform with you and all the IHM students and everybody else here. It's really wonderful to see how the journey began a couple of years ago. And when I say couple of years, it seems like almost 2 decades now. I did my Institute of Hotel Management and Catering Technology course from IIHM in Goa way back in '97, and since then started my career. Was fortunate to start my first job and role with the Marriott at their first hotel in India way back in 2000 when we opened the hotel, but worked on the site for 2.5 years as management trainee, and that's where my career began on a pre-opening site and a hotel, which later took up as a phase as the first Marriott hotel, which is the Goa Marriott Resort and Spa. And since then, I've had various opportunities to be part of national, standalone, international change through various opportunities and roles which I played along my tenure and career. And in 2006, I had the opportunity to start working on a project site. And before that, I had already done two project sites. One was with the Goa Marriott, second was with the Renaissance during the pre-opening. So it gave me a lot of opportunity to learn the ropes of how a pre-opening hotels are done. And in 2006, I had my first opportunity to open a hotel as an admin role and general manager with Lemon Tree. And then I managed to open two hotels for them between Goa and Chennai and Ahmedabad as well. And post that, I joined a standalone chain from Chennai. It was the first eco concept hotel in India. I had the opportunity to work on 5 verticals and be an eco TEL certified hotel in the country on all points as possible. And then we managed to open two Raintree hotels, both running successfully in Chennai. And that's where I had my opportunity to launch a brand for Royal Orchid Hotel under the banner of Regenta One. And then I had an opportunity to come to Hyderabad and open the Regenta One in Gachibowli, which unfortunately at that time, while we opened the hotel and ran it for a year, but due to the dispute internally between the promoters and the owners, the brand couldn't sustain. And then that hotel today in Hyderabad is the Sheraton in Gachibowli. And from that site, I had my opportunity to join an international chain and take over as the pre-opening efforts of two hotels, both and the first resorts in India, which was the NOVOTEL Shrem Hotel and the NOVOTEL Resort and Spa. So opened those hotels in 2013 and 14, and then moved on to take over the pre-opening of the Novotel in Lavasa and simultaneously managing the cluster role of the Lavasa International Convention Center, the Mercure Hotel, and another pre-opening hotel, which was, of course, at that point in time, a part of us as Formula One. Now that brand doesn't exist in India. And from there, moved on to managing a full-fledged business hotel, which was the Novotel Mumbai Juhu Beach. And from there, I moved to this beautiful city to manage this beautiful complex, which has a Novotel hotel with 288 rooms and the largest convention center as on date in India and South Asia, which is more popularly known as the HICC, or in other words, it is the Hyderabad International Convention Center. This hotel has 288 rooms and four different types of categories of rooms with four F&B outlets, which includes food exchange, which is a signature dining concept for the Novotel brand. And then we have the bar at the lobby level, a small cafe, which is popularly known as Lee Cafe, and a place called La Cantina, which is due for refurbishment. However, opened up in 2006 as a Mexican outlet, but today caters to more of a multi-cuisine space and dining. And the other part of this complex, which is the entire 15-acre spread space here, the most popular is the Hyderabad International Convention Center. This convention center has a total capacity of 150,000 square feet of meeting space with 37 different breakaway rooms and meeting opportunities or MICE opportunities to manage. The largest pillar-free space is 65,000 square feet. The largest event that we have catered for a single meal is 10,800 people and delegates, and the largest event in a single sitting we have done is for 9,000 people. However, the comfort sitting in this pillar-free space is 6,500. So we do close to maybe 1,400 to 1,600 large-scale events, and when I say large-scale events, it's 500 and above. The average length of event for this complex is 2.5 days from the beginning to the end. We work on two very unique concepts of probably a per square feet rate, and during the event it is the per plate rate, which is probably most popular with all hotels and banquet spaces. But however, being a convention center, has a unique mix of both, and associated with this complex since 2018. And I've had the opportunity to visit IIHMs in various parts of the country that the college manages with various verticals and institutes. And I think my association with IIHM is since 2008. And obviously, it grew over the years. And I think my association with IIHM Hyderabad has been the closest that I can speak of in my last 2 years of tenure. And I think I feel really very nice and proud and happy each time I have the opportunity to interact with the faculties, with the principal, and of course the director, and each and every student from this institute. We've had some amazing talents who've been visiting from your institute, working with us, coming here for their internship and their industrial exposure. And I always feel very, very proud when I see an alumni or a student from IIHM. So I think that's pretty much for my introduction and a bit to share. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Manish, for sharing your impressive journey and your experience with us. You are a real role model for many young hospitality aspirants. In fact, we have heard many things about you from the students who completed their internship in NOVOTEL HICC, and always they were very proud that they had undergone the IIT in NOVOTEL HICC under your leadership. And yes, definitely your experience would motivate our students. And moving forward, we have most important topic to talk today. I would request you to talk on the today's education for tomorrow's hotelier, which is very much necessary at current situation, looking at the scenario and what industry going through and facing various challenges. And also we are learning new things, new SOPs, new protocols. So having said that, it is mandatory for us also to change our education according to the current situation. Mr. Manish, I want you to talk on today's education. What are the new changes have to be implemented and imposed in our education for creating tomorrow's hotelier? Over to you, Mr. Manish.
Thank you, Ernest. Thank you so much for that. Well, I would like to say hospitality is all about socializing, and that is what we bring along as part of our industrial experience to everyone. But with each scenario, with each such experiences that come along our way and journey, we have to keep adopting, we have to keep implementing new practices till the time we have something which kind of lets us get over it and move further, and sometimes it becomes part of our journey. All of us currently know what the scenario is just now, while the globe is going through it, experiencing it, trying to manage it in their own manners. Every country is trying to do their best. Our country is trying to do the best. And at this point in time, we are close to 8 lakhs plus cases and nearing 9 lakh cases. And then, each day you look forward to seeing the update, and then you see more than 20,000, 25,000 cases coming up. Similarly, the city where we are, this city also is experiencing something similar. The cases are spiking up every single day, where we were used to seeing 20, 30 cases probably 2 months ago. Today we are talking about almost 1,000 plus cases, and the overall numbers are going to around 34, 35,000, out of which almost 23,000 always comes from the key metro, and that is what is happening to us in Hyderabad as well. At this point in time, we've all adopted to various, thankfully, one great innovation that has come into our life is digitalization, right? Digitalization first came in to help us take care of our software needs. We adopted it very well. Every hotel, every organization like us went into adopting various software opportunities that came by, whether it is required for fast check-ins, easier check-ins. Later on, it became into food and beverage experiences. Whatever orders that I remember way back in 97 and 95 when I was doing my internship, everything had to be done manually, and then there was a cashiering machine which existed. Later on, by the time we passed out and we joined the industry, we saw that we had a nice software and a point of sale which was ready for us to use. So all you had to do is go manually, take your orders, come back, feed it into the system, and then the QOT would be printed inside the kitchen. And then slowly it moved on to all verticals of what a hospitality or a hotel. I'll speak more from the hotels because we need digitalization across everything, whether it is inventory control, whether it is asset management, whether it is asset coding, whether it is front office, whether it is point of sale for food and beverage, whether it is the finance that needs to consolidate all the transactions that happen inside the hotel, whether it is just releasing a simple purchase order, whether it is indenting stores. So today, what I remember was from where this was all done manually, and I remember making our indent books and then going to the purchase department. Today, it's all software driven. So obviously, we adopted to this opportunity and digitalization way back almost 2 decades ago, which later on became some of the best practices for all hotels and chains to adopt. Moving forward, we moved into our HR practices to make sure that your attendance and datas were taken through software. So obviously these things really helped. Earlier, when we used to have our conferences, everything had to be done manually, typed, written, and then you had a BOQ which had to be put forward. We had to put across a banquet order which had to be released for everyone, or a banquet information sheet. Today it's all digital. So obviously over the years, thankfully, with the innovation and the advent of digital space and scope, all of us tried to adopt, and it has made us savvy to the next level of digitalization which was required. Later on, it moved digitalization into loyalty, because to get your guests back, you needed digitalization to keep a track on who your repeat guests are. Are they coming to you? Are they not coming to you? So we started moving into digitalization world there, and we tried to adopt whatever was possible and make it software driven. So it helped us reduce the time, helped it make it easy for us to connect with the guest. We started getting pop-ups and reminders for calling the guest and wishing them happy birthdays and anniversary, and saying, hey guys, last year you came in, how about your plans for this year? Your reservations started adopting to digitalization, which made it easier to book the rooms and send confirmations via mail. Later on, this practice became into environmental practices, because what it said was to reduce and work around eco systems which are required, which meant to obviously reduce, recycle, and all these things that we adopted into our day-to-day practices and operational needs became part of our lives. Then there was a time later where we felt quite comfortable with what we were doing. Suddenly we realized that everything else had its digital imprint in your day-to-day work life, but maybe security was something which we missed. We experienced one or two incidents in some hotels globally, and there onwards came the advent of digital space and modernization, automation in terms of security checks as well, which we felt probably was not our core competence and business. But later on we realized that if you don't give the comfort of safety and security, guests were not willing to compromise that, considering a few incidents which took place in our country and outside. So that's when this space ventured into security as well. Today you see a DFMD metal detectors. There you have physical frisking and check which is happening. You have baggage scanners which have come into play. You have automated gate system to ensure that your car is checked thoroughly and only then allowed to come in, and so on. So each time we come across something which is not really common, and which is something for us to adopt to give the comfort to our loyal guest patrons, and most importantly our team members as well, right? Because all of us work in such spaces to obviously we keep moving ahead. There was a time when we saw we had SARS which came in and related medical based discomfort. So obviously there onwards we adopted a few things of having hand sanitizers across the hotel. We adopted to chemicals which helped us sanitize our place to an extent to kind of up beat the hygiene standards that we were initially managing. Then we realized that physical contact was not right. That's when we adopted to things like wearing gloves, making sure we had mops, which were earlier, if you remember, everybody in the hotels also that I remember, we had to do mops with cloths. Now it has come to a typical mop which helps us to maintain sanitation across, personal hygiene as well. And then we started implementing medical checks in the hotels. We started, for safety and security, we started working on background checks for all the team members that are coming forward. And each time there was a situation like this, we kept getting better and better. We start adopting to some of the best practice which were followed not only within our industry but also in other industry where the guests were coming from, because they were used to a certain level of hygiene practices, certain levels of comfort, and obviously we wanted to make sure that when they come to our hotels and units, we give them the same comfort and the feeling of safety, at the same time feeling of having good sanitation around. So we kept working around them and we kept adopting to whatever came our way. At this point in time, we know that this pandemic has hit globally. Unfortunately, it has hit we as industry are considered to be luxury, because obviously we are not something which is a basic need, or we are not necessary a necessity. We are something which is categorized into the luxuries segment, because it's only when you travel outside your basic needs is you need hotels, and you need the comforts of hotels and dining spaces and restaurants for everyone to explore, whether it is for personal need, or whether it is for business purpose, or for MICE purpose, right? These are all three different very strong elements which drive our industry. Unfortunately, this pandemic has hit really very hard. What we realize is that almost 28% people have already lost their job globally related to this industry. But what we also know is that this industry, or the travel and tourism industry, is also the backbone of the GDP of the world, not just our country. We pretty much contribute to almost 7% to 8.5% in best scenario to the overall GDP. And obviously, when we speak about this, some numbers also speak of almost we are holding as a country 10th position out of 185 countries when it comes to travel and trade and hospitality related movements and business. Almost 83% of international travelers are from our country, and which makes it very competent, not only as travelers but also as industry givers to everyone, not only in our country but across, right? International travel is almost close to 17%. 94% out of this, we feel that it will always be business, but no, 93% is leisure. Only 7% to 6% is coming from business, right? Your industry mix between Indian and international domestic is close to 71 to 29%, and between leisure and business stays anywhere between 79% to 21% when it comes to the average spend. The employment generation is close to 8% of what the global industry speaks about, and this comes with almost 40 million jobs. So what does it mean? That is it going to stay? Obviously it's not going to stay, right? We have to get over this pandemic situation, all of us, including your institute, even though it may be small in numbers, but everybody is back to work. I'm sitting in office, Emmanuel is sitting in office, your faculties are sitting in office, while because we want to maintain that physical distance and social distance, just because we do not have a vaccine today is the only purpose that we have moved on to the digital space. But does that mean our life has stopped? Obviously no, we continue to do what we have to do, we continue to operate with what we have to do. But what is the need of the hour, like Emmanuel mentioned, is to adopt to the current needs, demands and necessities, right? Because if we do so, all of us will remain safe, and all of us will be able to give that safe experience to everybody that we have an opportunity to be associated with, whether in form of education in your institute, whether in form of guest experiences in our hotel, or whether a standalone experience in a standalone restaurant, or maybe just a takeaway, right? Even if the takeaway is managed beautifully in the most hygienic conditions, you have certain things which are best practices put forward, and for you to know, you will not shy away from ordering that, right? Yes, what has happened today is something which we have already experienced. This keeps coming every decade in some form or the other. Just before this pandemic has hit us, where I know all of us are running through a tough phase, we experienced something similar in 2008 as well, when there was an economy slowdown. It may have not been as harsh and may have not been as impartial as the current situation would have been, but that was to do with business slowdown. So obviously the world went through economic slowdown. The impact were not as adverse, as this is to do with medical, right? So obviously it impacts your health, and nobody wants to take chances with health. A good health is the future to a good lifestyle. So obviously we have to adopt to what we have in place, and every industry is trying to put forward a best practice in place. If you come to our hotel, and some of you who had the opportunity to either do your internship or anything else, we've always had hand sanitizers which were placed before. But is it the same what we used as on maybe a 15th of March and as of today? No. the contents have changed, right? The alcohol content has increased. Earlier, the hand sanitizers that we were using were 50% alcohol content. Today, uh, the WHO, the health authorities, they say what you need is a minimum 70% alcohol content. So obviously, we have graduated from those sanitation methods to what we are today. Similarly, we were using diversity products before for our hygiene and sanitation across all departments, whether it was housekeeping, whether it was public area cleaning, whether it was kitchen stewarding, and so on. Today, we are using diversity again, but the chemicals have changed. The mix has changed, obviously, to ensure that the chemicals that we use now has to kill a specific bacteria which lives at a certain percentage. So obviously we have to be very, very careful. Why do we have to wear masks? This was not part of our overall getup, but today I can show you we have adopted to our own, and obviously this also speaks about a brand experience in effect, that it's something, it's reusable, it is not use and throw. But does that mean we don't have to wear it? Of course we have to wear it when we are uh, alone in our offices and isolated. Obviously you don't need to wear, because you need fresh air, which is something which is a mandate. But when you are in a common forum which includes even 1+1 or just the two people, you need to ensure that you maintain the safety and sanitation for not just for yourself but also for the other person who's around you. And you have to ensure, I was attending a session day before, and there are various formats of how this spreads, right? So obviously, when I heard it, it speaks in various formats. Just a simple mask to be wearing safeguards you by almost 70% chances of you contracting it or you not contracting it. So it's not anything else. It is a face mask, right? Why a face mask? Because this bacteria and this virus is known to enter through your respiratory systems and impact your respiratory system. So obviously you need to protect that. The only way for it to move is through your hands first, most importantly, and that is where the sanitizers and your hand washes play an important role. And second is obviously it should not get an opportunity to enter your body through nose or through your mouth. So you need to cover yourself well enough. So we have adopted to this practice, and all of us, whether I was driving across from my hotel to the secretariat a couple of weeks ago, and I saw maybe 10 or 15 people through my drive who were not wearing a mask. Everybody was wearing a mask, which means everybody understands the importance of this mask. They may not have the in-depth knowledge as to why is it necessary, but they definitely know that this is infectious, and so you need to protect yourself. And because probably for some everybody is wearing, they are also ensuring that they are wearing. But what for you to know is that if you wear a mask, you protect yourself almost 70% as compared to the individual who's not wearing one. If both sides, and one person is wearing and not wearing, which means there are almost 15% chances that the other person might contract it from you. But if two people involved in a conversation or a group, if everybody is wearing, then the chances are only 1.5% of you contracting it. So that's the importance of this mask today. And today we are very well adopting it, whether it is individually on a personal space or whether it is professionally. Professionally, yes, we may rather than like to use which is reusable. So, and so obviously not disposable ones. Probably we've gone in for a cloth mask, which makes it more easy and convenient for you to breathe. So we've adopted to that as a best practice internally. The second thing, what it says is this talk which we are doing, right? When I talk, it puts forward almost 1,000 droplets from my mouth, right? So obviously I need to protect myself and I need to protect the other person around. If I cough, right, the same thing becomes close to 3,000 droplets. The most important and the dangerous one is a sneeze, because this increases the droplet output to almost 40,000. And these are the areas where we have to ensure that we are all well protected and we are all safeguarded. And that is where your sanitation practices or your best practices come into play for hygiene factor and for everything else which is currently necessitated. Does that mean that we stop living? Obviously, no. If these are the facts that are there, all we need to do is adopt to them to as part of us, as part of our day-to-day life and activities. And I think we should be at least trying to keep ourselves safe, if nothing else, right? Tomorrow we can pick it up from anywhere. At this point in time, when I speak about it, if you have your Arogya Setu in place, you will realize that even in half a kilometer, it says that there could be anywhere between 2 cases to 28 cases. And so obviously there are chances of it to spread, but all you need to do is make sure that you wear all the kits which are required for you to stay safe and for you to offer that safety feel to your guest coming in. Today, most of the states and cities have allowed a few industries to revive. A few industries, they have told that they need to revive with 30% manpower in place, and that is why your college is ready to take care of digital space and make sure that the education continues, so that you guys keep learning and utilizing this space. And for us, also as part of the industry, we are allowed to operate our rooms, we are allowed to operate our restaurants. What we are not allowed is to have liquor in place, because the moment you have liquor, then you tend to lose out on your self confidence, and you tend to lose out on things that you should be able to control otherwise when you are in 100% senses. So obviously there are certain do's which the MHA guideline or the Ministry of Home Affairs has put forward, the global WHO has put forward. So obviously you can do that in your personal space, and that is why your retail shops are open but not bars open in the hotel. What have we done to give that comfort to our guests? So if you walk into our hotel today, and any one of you, if in the city, is most welcome to come and experience it, because this work both sides, for us to offer the services and for the guests to experience the services and feel that if they're coming to our hotel and unit, they are feeling absolutely safe. So what have we done? We have enhanced our checks at the gates. We make sure that there is a thermal check done for everyone. Today I'm sure everyone knows that 99 degrees is still considered to be safe. Beyond that, does that mean you let the person go? Obviously not. If you find somebody who's beyond 99, obviously you may come from an outdoor space because of the heat. So obviously your temperature and the body temperature might rise. So you need to make that person sit down for a couple of minutes, give him a 5-10 minutes to go through a second round of thermal check. And that's where you'll realize that the body temperature also drops in. We have hand sanitizers, which are also auto dispensers. So obviously you need to do there. We have foot disinfectants in place, and then there is a thermal check done again before you enter the complex. Once you're inside, you will see that the lobby sitting is reduced to almost 30% from what it was before. If you go to the reception counter, there is a screen which is now put in place that keeps social distancing. The team member who's used to meeting and interacting with guests wears gloves, wears a face mask, wears a face shield. He's got the sanitizers in place there. He's got a wet tissue in place there. He's got a health declaration form available there. We've got a room key drop box, which if the guest is checking out, he doesn't need to hand over it to the team member. He can drop it in the cash box. We have adopted to UPI payment options. We have adopted to Wi-Fi cards for guests to pay. We've got UV boxes for somebody who doesn't have these options and has to pay cash and there is no other option. We are accepting cash. Obviously, we cannot say no. So all the team members are wearing gloves. Accordingly, they accept the cash, and then that cash is put into a UV box so that the cash is kind of sanitized again for some time. Every room which is allocated is sanitized completely. No room is allocated to a guest before 48 hours of the past departure, so that there is enough time for things to settle, the chemicals to settle, and for the disinfectants to do their job. We don't allow our team members to enter the rooms post checkout for 48 hours, irrespective of whatever it may be, so that again there are enough SOPs put in place that after 48 hours the team will enter with a PP kit worn completely. They will use disinfectants. We'll let the disinfectant settle down for another 24 hours, and after that the team will go in and sanitize the room completely. We've removed all the paper collaterals that were there before to promote spa, to promote F&B, to promote services, number of channels, everything in the paper, because these are all high touch point areas. So we've identified high touch points across hotels. So in the lobby, at the reception, at the outlet, in-room dining, rooms, public areas, cafeterias, which is again a high meeting point for all the team members, elevators for that matter, cash points for that matter. So every area there are high touch points which have been identified. These high touch points are sanitized even more than what we were doing before. So there is a best practice put in place. Every team member walking into the hotel is checked. They need to have a certificate in place. We have a doctor who comes to the hotel every day. The doctor certifies the employees, and that certificate is valid for a fortnight. And then after a fortnight, they have to re-inspect through the doctor, so that we have valid documents in place that gives us the comfort of, yes, our team members are safe and well looked after. Similarly, for all the quarantine stays, we have health officers who are assigned by the GHMC and the government. They come for a check, they meet up with the guest themselves. The guests are not allowed to come down once they check in for 7 days. Post 7 days, they are given a health certificate by the doctor, and only after that they're allowed to go. In case they feel a little uncomfortable and are not well, they are told and offered a space to stay for another 7 more days, or are offered an option to go home and self quarantine themselves. So you need to adopt to all these systems, mechanisms which are there for us to ensure that you are keeping safe. When you go into F&B, again, there is a queue manager now at the entrance, so that the guests have stickers which are put on floors to maintain the social distance of 6 feet and 2 meters, which is minimum mandate, so they can wait in a queue for them. They are again health check for non-resident. They have to give a declaration saying that they're not coming from the containment zones, etc. When they go inside, there is a screen which is already there, or a sitting screen guard. So even if two people are sitting, and we may not be families, but we are coming for a business discussion, we don't find it uncomfortable to talk. So we have a screen which is implemented. You don't. We've got menus in two formats. One menu for people who are not tech savvy. We have disposable placemats, which is now the menu. Earlier, these were something else, more of a hygiene practice, but now we have enhanced it to disposable menus as placemats. And if you are tech savvy, all you need to do is scan your phone for the barcode which is on the table number there, and then the menu comes onto your screen. You can order it from your hand phones, and that order what you give straight away comes onto our digital app and an iPad, and then through that iPad we feed that order into the system. We are working on front office easy check-in option as well, so that there is minimum contact between the guest and the team members. But at this point in time, there is something called global data protection, which is individual information. So as of now, we are under the oath of not sharing third-party information with the guest, which can be utilized, and it has payment mode. So obviously that is where it's more sensitive. So we are yet to implement that, and we are finding out ways and means as to see how we can bring this in sooner and quicker and implement it as a best practice for the guest. But what we are trying to do at this point in time is, if there is a booking with us, we send a mail to the guest 48 hours in advance. We reconfirm the booking. We ask them to send their ID proofs, which is a government mandate for everyone at the time of check-in. So what we do is, we're asking them for their passport details. We're asking them for their government valid ID proofs. We're asking them to fill in the declaration form as to their travel past, their current health condition, are they coming in from containment zone, etc. So all this basic information is allowed. So there is a faster check-in process at the reception when they come, since we already have all this information. Today, our internal SOP for in-room dining or room service is that we do not ask the guest to sign the invoice anymore. So we are asking them to just place the order, and then it gets settled into the room account directly. We have a barcode in place there as well, so the guest doesn't have to wait. All he has to do is scan the code, choose his menu options, it comes onto our iPad, and then we place the order and it is served in the room. At this point in time, because the infection rate is very, very high, and it is still at a surge and the upsurge and the spike times, we do not do any in-room services, which means once a guest has checked in, unless there is an absolute necessity, somebody has thrown up, or something else has happened, only then our team member enters the room with a full PPE kit, and we ask the guests to move out and sit there in one of the tables inside the room. There is no contact between the guest and the team members, and we try to absolutely work along it. But preferably, we have kept coffee tables outside all the rooms, and every room service order is placed outside the room. We are using disposable materials, so whether it is the food container, whether it is the cutlery, whether it is a disposable napkin. So everything is use and throw format, so that there's minimum interaction and touch between the guest and the team members. We have our health points checked. All the team members who are doing these services are checked 3 times a day. We make sure that they are looked after. We feel the comfort of serving it to the guest, and the guests also know that if there is anything, they can always fall back onto us, and we will have our documentation in place supporting that we had followed all the protocols that were necessity. And similarly, so on across today. Does that mean that the mice industry has stopped? Obviously, it has taken the biggest hit, and we are one of the largest mice space operators in the country. We have taken a big hit. Almost a lot of business on books has got cancelled or has got postponed to not even Q1 of next year, but onto Q2 of the following year. But at this point in time, even in current scenario, socials that includes wedding and wedding related events are still allowed by the government, and they have put a maximum capping of 50 attendees or 50 guests who can cater. So we do almost 4 or 5 weddings a month through this option. We do not allow for guests to bring in more than 50 people. So that's a maximum capping that we do. We do not do any billings beyond 50 people. So that ensures that neither we get carried away to cater to more than this number, nor are the guests allowed to bring more than this number for the weddings. But what the guest is allowed is to have 2 events. If he has more number of guests to look after, he can do wedding, and wedding related events are allowed. So you can do a wedding and you can do probably a reception. So that obviously increases your scope to bring 50 people for the wedding and 50 people for the receptions. That's an option which is available at this point in time. But otherwise, everything else is an absolute no. And there too, we do not allow outside vendors, outside food, special caterings, or anything to come inside the complex, including the vendor. They have health declaration forms, they have protocols to follow when they come in, when they go out. During the event, nobody is allowed to be there except for our team members. We have reduced the buffet completely to now individual servings or pre-plated servings or thalis, so that it makes it easy and there are no too many touch points available. And there is a check for everybody. Nobody is allowed to be inside the hall, even if it is the closest relative of the bride and the groom, to be without a face mask, because that exposes everybody in the room. Each banquet table, which is 8 feet for us, sits only 4 guests. So that way we make sure that there is enough physical distancing between everyone. And 9 o'clock, the restaurants are closed, because currently the guidelines are that everybody, all institutions, shop and establishment act should close at 9:30, and people should be home before the curfew starts from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the night, 5 a.m. in the morning. Now, what is it lying for you? At this point in time, obviously we have downsized, we have right size, but this is all temporary. It is not a long-term solution. Our industry has survived all such pandemics. We have always geared ourselves and readied ourselves to whatever needs that the market demands and the industry demands. We are always ready to manage it, sustain through this, and keeping ourselves afloat. This is a temporary phase. We are only waiting for the right vaccine. There are already certain rumors and news that there is a form of vaccine available. But most importantly, I think everybody is ready to cater to whatever is coming their way. For all you students who are passing out next year, not to worry. Yes, I would not say that the industry would be very dynamic at this point in time. Through all the mediums, forums that I am part of, everybody is speaking that it is going to be a slow growth ahead, but there is going to be a growth, which is a good news for all of us. The industry was at its peak in 2019 and Q1 of this year, which means we are all expecting that form and that format to be back by 2023 Q4 or 2024 beginning year itself, which means there is going to be a patience time in waiting for all of us, but it is going to revive. At this point in time, I will not say we are still at the doors of survival phase. No, we are not. The business is probably 8% of what we were doing, which is not good enough to sustain, and hence we have downsized, we have right sized. But the news is that probably post October, things will get a little better. There are chances of the vaccine to come out, and people will then be ready to travel and take chances to travel. All industry is showcasing their best practices adopted at their unit level, so that it gives the comfort to everybody, whether it is leisure travel, whether it is MICE travel, whether it is business travel. The good part of our country is that because of such high and huge population, uh, we can sustain with our own domestic travel for all these purposes. We don't need international travel. International travel, of course, tells you the overall health of the global scenario, and that is where we need the international business as well. But as a country, we are very self-sufficient with our domestic needs and should be good enough to cater to maybe a 60% capacity of what we were doing. The industry was talking about 70 and 74% occupancy and capacity across, with the business and the industry doing well that. But I think a good 55-60% is also good enough for us to be in line with the industry trend, not just hospitality, but across all the other business segments as well. For you students, this point, you have the most me time at your hands at this point in time. You're not at college, nor can you explore anything outdoors. You have a lot of time for yourself. Read as much as possible, explore as much as possible. Today, because of the digital world, you have so much information at your disposal that you don't even have to come physically anywhere. The college will do everything that they can, we will do everything that we can, but what is in your hands is to grasp the knowledge and be updated on whatever is happening across in our industry, outside our industry. Learn more things which you thought you wanted to. Today you have the time, utilize it. Explore new avenues, explore new learning skills which can develop you, sharpen you further in enhancing the things that you need. I know for a lot of students who have passed out this year, it is going to be a time in waiting, and I definitely feel a Q4 of 2020. You have to be patient, you have to bear with us, but utilize this time for yourself. If you like music, learn music. If you like driving, learn driving. Utilize this time so that you enhance your own personal skills, which will enhance your overall personality, so that when you're ready down the line, 4 months, 5 months from today, and when the industry is ready to accept the teams who have been laid over or let go of, they become your first talent pool for hotels and industries to get them back. And of course, the second most important talent is students such as you, who have passed out and who are ready to pass out in the coming year. The industry will definitely sustain. There are lots of new opportunities available today, and everyone needs people, because without people, our industry will never have its face of being of any services, and that personal service that we are always known for, the hospitality that we are always known for. We are an industry who survives on socializing. Uh, so obviously people will get around it. People, if you go to the market, you'll see people have already started coming out, buying clothes, going to the malls, wearing masks. That is part of your new gear. Don't shy away from wearing it. Wear it, sport it, it's absolutely fine. But obviously it gives you the hope that if that can revive, our industry can revive too. We are already talking, we have confirmed even in this scenario, while we lost a good 15-16 crore of business on books, almost 5 crores is moved on to the following year. We have closed in the month of lockdown and slowdown as well. We've closed almost a crore worth of bookings for October, November, December, which means people are hopeful, and when people are hopeful, we are equally hopeful too. And I'm only sharing these figures, though they are very important for us and important information of the hotel. But I'm only trying to give these figures to you so that you know that things are reviving, right? We've already started. We've closed one event next year, September, for almost 4.5 crores. We're talking about events who got cancelled this year to bring them back in 2022 and 2023 as well. My team is working from home. My team is working from site. but all we are trying to do is strengthen our business for future so that all of us can bounce back. You guys can be part of the industry and bounce back and march along with us. And these are some things which I thought I should share and put forward to each and every one of you. I know it may be a little lengthy and longer, but being a pass out, an alumni of this industry, I feel the best way to connect with all is to give you the facts and is to tell you what the current phase is. And I try to put forward that to each and every one of you. Sorry if it is a little lengthy for each and every one.
Not at all problem. Thank you so much, Mr. Manish, for sharing all such a great insights and knowledge with our students. And thank you so much for such encouraging words and motivating words. So definitely we are all started living, in the new normal. And thank you so much for sharing the new standard operating procedures and protocols being implemented in the hotels for both employees and for the guests. And this would be great learning for everyone. We have started abide ourselves according to living in the current situation. And as rightly said, personal hygiene and digitalization and artificial intelligence would be playing major role in this current situation, and of course in upcoming years also. And thank you so much, Mr. Manish. And also the reason behind this webinar, we are also restructuring our syllabus and our academic curriculum according to, we need to educate. It's our responsibility mandate to educate our students for creating a successful hoteliers for tomorrow's industry. So this is the major reason for this webinar, and thank you so much for all your insights. That would be included in our syllabus, and all the SOPs being followed in the hotels and implemented for the guests and for the employees as well. And it was wonderful talking to you. It was pleasure talking to you always. And thank you so much. You have taken your time in spite of your busy schedule and joined with us today for interacting and talking with the students. It was great learning for every one of us. Thank you so much, thank you so much, Mr. Manish, and we're looking forward to see you soon in our campus after this all lockdown and pandemic, everything gets over. And hopefully we'll meet, and we would like to host you, and we would like to interact, you to interact with our new upcoming batch students as you do every year. And we were looking forward to that.
Oh, same here. I look forward as well, Emmanuel, Ernest. Thank you so much. And I still have 7 minutes. So in case any of the students, faculties have any questions for me, you're most welcome to ask. I'll be very, very happy to answer them. Maybe a few of them for sure. Be rest assured that things are going to get better. Even before you think, things are going to move forward in the best of direction. And small things which we have started adopting. I think everybody's used to buying a flight ticket today. You're buying flight tickets today, and there is a small tick which comes in that do you want to insure yourself. Many a times we ignore that because we try to probably save that 200 rupees or 250 rupees or whichever way. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Till the time you don't face the disaster, you will never realize the importance of that small tick. And similarly, for us also within Accor, we have come up with our own label called All Safe label. This All Safe label is a mix and match of all the best practices which I have told you, but we have further strengthened our association with Diversey to use their chemicals which are globally environmentally certified chemicals. We have also tied up with Bureau Veritas for us to be certified as a health certified hotel following the best practices that are required in the current trends and norms or the new normal. We have also now tied up with an insurance company called AXA globally, whereby a guest can sign up for this insurance, and once he's at the hotel or he's traveling out, he can have access to doctors online, he can have access to medical facilities online, he can have access to medical prescription online. So obviously we need to keep advanting with each situation and scenario, and I think this is what makes our industry stand apart from all the other industries, because we have a mix and match of all experiences to offer. One day the guest came and said, I want Wi-Fi. We started working on Wi-Fi. Earlier it was paid. today it's become part of the room access and amenity, and so is we are moving towards having this as part of our amenities, whether it is the mask, whether it is the sanitizer. Probably that's the need of the hour. We need to not let go of any such opportunities, because each time something like this comes up, gives us opportunity to even showcase the better side of what we are and what we do, and what we do in our learning curve and our phase of educational exposure that we go through. So I think, again, for you, Ernest, and for your faculties, you're most welcome to come across the hotel and actually see these best practices, take pictures of them, show it to the students, because when we feel comfortable, we come to work in this current scenario, and so is we want everyone to feel comfortable. Tomorrow, once we open the door for interns to come back, we also want you to feel comfortable sending your students for their cross exposure needs to our unit. So obviously we would want to do that, and I'm most happy to welcome this option for both sides. Very much important.
Thank you so much. We love to do that, and we love to visit hotel and learning new things. And also, it will be great learning for us. Also, we can educate the same to the students. And thank you so much, sir, for joining with us today. And it was pleasure talking to you. Such a lot of knowledge of wisdom shared with us and with our students. And thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
My pleasure.
And
Thank you.
thank you so much, everyone who have joined with us today for this lovely interactive session. And I hope there are a lot of insights and knowledge being shared today with every one of you. And I hope you're carrying all SARS advice and wisdom along with you and implementing in your life. Thank you so much, everyone. And signing off from IIHM Career Studio, Hyderabad. And have a great day and have a great week ahead. Thank you, everyone.
All of you too. Thank you so much. Thank you. Lovely interacting with each and every one of you. Thank you. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good day, kids. Bye.
IIHM. For a great hospitality career, call 98310 50,000.